It's a kind of magic. It's a kind of magic.
Wonderful.
It's a kind of magic.
Sorry, I was gonna see how long I could keep the clicks going for. That was with my actual fingers, by the way. Just want to clarify. That was not with my mouth.
If you're watching on
If
video,
you're watching, you already knew.
You already knew that. You didn't need the explanation.
You already knew that because that was a little bit silly. But actually, I'm quite glad that we're recording now because about 15 minutes ago, we're getting close to bonfire night. People were doing fireworks.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, it's really, really annoying because, yeah, I don't need that while I'm recording an award-winning
They should be thinking about you.
podcast.
Award-winning. What awards have we won?
It's called Manifesting, Chloe.
Okay, sorry. Well, it's because it's been Diwali as well.
It has
so
been
there's been
Diwali.
fireworks for like a week now.
Yeah.
So it's just fireworks. I'm getting so confused. Like, what are these fireworks for?
Well, one of them is like a proper celebration, and the other one is basically just setting off loads of bangs because someone tried to kill the king. It's a bit weird, our celebration, isn't it, when you think about it?
It is a strange one.
Because I have to teach it for context for Macbeth. And you know when you kind of put it together and you're like, are we celebrating an act of terrorism?
Yeah. Oh, no, we're not celebrating it.
No,
we're
not
celebrating
quite,
the
But you know what I mean?
The disbanding
Yeah.
of a terrorist attack, I suppose.
Yeah. The second Big Bang.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure.
Well, this is a tangent. Anyway, let's bring us back. How are you, Chloe?
I'm good. I am so busy this week.
Yes.
Like, oh my goodness.
I've been busy.
I've had a crazy week. I'm going into a crazy week.
Yeah.
I go to Paris next week.
Oh my God.
Oh, I can't do it anymore.
You're such a drama queen.
No, I am trying to fit everything into a short amount of time, and it's okay. It's good.
Yeah, I felt like I needed that a lot today, actually, where I was getting on with loads and loads of stuff, and I didn't have like too much to do, but I had to, like, we've started using Calm, and we used to use it loads, but I actually ended up using it for like a daily meditation today, just while I was in a bit of a rut. I was like, 10 minutes, and do you know what disturbed that rut?
Fireworks?
You called me.
Oh.
I was in the middle of a meditation. I was like 6 minutes in, and it was just like, focus on your breathing. And then it was like, you done the notes? I was like, yes, I have.
So how was I to know you were meditating?
You were not to have any indication.
But then, at night time we'll listen to Jeff.
Yes.
Hi,
I'm
Jeff.
The soothing sounds.
The one
Go on,
last
give
night.
me your best Jeff impression.
Hi, I'm Jeff.
That's not too bad.
What's yours?
Hi, I'm Jeff.
That's really good.
Thank you.
If you don't know who Jeff is on Calm, you should
Then
check
you
him
have.
out. He's
Then
really good.
Then you have no idea.
Although his one last night was really random because he was talking about like tar and the metaphor about tar, and he kept going tar 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 tar.
Yeah, and he ended up just going on and
What
on
is
for way
going
too long, and it got quite surreal and strange.
Am
didn't
I
it?
just that tired? I don't know. It was crazy. I got to go to the Enchanted Parties Halloween event, which was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed that.
No, it looked really enjoyable. I was
Yep.
sorry that I could not be there.
You could have been there.
No, I could have been.
You could have been. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. It was great.
Yeah.
Got to see some friendly faces.
I was definitely warmer.
Yeah, you were definitely warmer. It was cold.
Yeah,
it was a cold one.
It was cold.
But if you haven't checked out their events, absolutely do it. Incredible. Sure. Like, love them so much. Yeah, check it out. Stephen, how are you? Well, we kind of
thank you for asking.
No, we spoke about how you are really, but we'll go into it more. How are you?
We spoke about meditation. You didn't ask me how I am.
Okay, how are you?
Troubled now.
Troubled?
No, I'm not.
Sorry. That was so intense.
Thank you for asking, Chloe. No, I'm all right. I've been on half term, but I'm getting a little bit bored of half term, which I know is like a horrible thing for teachers to say, especially when we are slowly approaching the Christmas term, which is the longest one, and it feels.
Is it?
Yeah, it's 8 weeks.
It doesn't feel like the longest one.
No, but it's always the one that we fear the most.
You fear it?
Because the nights are drawing in and it's getting darker. You know, you go to work in the dark, you come back in the dark. The kids are...
That's what I'm doing.
...becoming irritable, I think. You know that, like, the beginning of... I can't remember how it goes, like the beginning of Mary Poppins.
Winds in the east.
Winds in the east. It's like...
Mist
and everything's
in.
about to change. And I'm like, that's how the sort of October into November feels for me as a teacher.
Interesting.
So just going to put that out there. But I've done a lot of, like, listening to various vloggers, and I'm really in a bit of a hole at the moment of, like, I need a trip, like, very, very soon, because it's...
I relate.
Yeah, but you're going, you thief.
Thief of what?
Thief of Love.
One thing I was going to say.
Go on.
And it's now gone from my head. So let me just backtrack what I was going to say and see if it comes back to me.
Yeah.
Something about this episode.
Well, today we are talking about the Pixar Universe Theory.
Yeah.
Or it's got a couple of different names, which we'll kind of go through. But actually, let's go into last week's question, because last week's question, I asked you, what is the reoccurring...
Oh, I remembered what it is. Sorry.
It's like first the meditation, now it's during my question.
Do we wait till you finish?
No. I'll just...
It's nothing to do this episode.
I'll just get back in the zone in a second, I promise you.
I lied. It's actually to do with... Oh, no. It's gone. No, I've got it again. It's the Orlando Awards. Sorry.
Yes, go on then.
ADHD. I call this segment of the podcast Chloe Forgets Things Very Quickly. No, it's going to be the Orlando Awards. We're coming to the end of the first section.
Wow.
Believe it or not. So when this episode comes out, when this episode comes out, we would have done all the first round of it.
Yeah.
We're now on to part 2, which is polls.
Polls. Okay, explain how polls is going to work.
Polls is going to work. Like, we've got the top 4 of each category. We've got the top 4 theme parks, top 4 rides, top 4 restaurants,
etc.
Yes, etc. Which is exciting. And basically, on that, you're going to vote for one of those 4 as your favourite, and then they are the winner. And then we'll do the award announcement later on in the year with our good friend Russ.
Yes. An award show.
Adventures podcast.
A video award show. Seeing as we seem to video everything now, but it's getting good. It's getting good. Okay,
carry on to your question. Sorry.
Yeah, last week I asked you a question that would lead you into this episode. So for this week, I wanted to know, what is the reoccurring letter and number combination that appears in all Pixar films? And of course the answer was A1113.
Of course it is.
A1.
Sorry, are you okay there?
Yeah, A113. I don't know, I went A1113.
There's too many
I'm
ones.
just adding another one, which basically refers to the room where a lot of the animators basically met at their university in California.
So I feel like you would have really enjoyed this planning session, Stephen.
What do you mean? Oh, what, doing my research for this? I have... Oh
my goodness.
I have 4 pages worth of notes. So I've kind of gone to town here.
To be fair, I've got a lot of notes.
You've got quite a lot as well.
Quite a lot.
This is good.
There's a lot on there. It's a crazy, crazy world, this Pixar theory. I love it because I wouldn't say I necessarily believe it when I don't watch Pixar and go, oh, the Pixar theory. But I like going, oh, that's really fun.
But I also think that's something to say about this particular theory, is that, it's not designed to be absolutely flawless. This is ultimately a glorified fan theory.
Yeah.
So that someone has kind of come up with that kind of links all of the Pixar movies together. That is not to say that everything makes sense. Because I think there are times where I go, I really like that idea, and there's other times where I go, I don't see it.
Yeah. So the full circle moment in it.
Yeah.
Do you think we should start off by saying that, or do you think be like, here is the big thing we're working up to?
I think that's the bomb that we drop at the end.
Oh, the exciting, wow, blow your minds. If you don't know about the Pixar theory,
and if it doesn't blow your mind, listen again.
I think it will. I remember the first time someone said it to me, I thought, wow.
Yeah, I actually think the kind of bomb drop does make sense.
Oh no, absolutely.
I think it's one of the tangible theories within this universe. So, but I think we'll start with a little bit of context. So basically, the Pixar theory, or as it's got a kind of longer title as given by John Negroni, who was the person who came up with this, it is the grand unifying theory of Pixar movies.
Just call it the Pixar theory.
My favourite one is the PCU.
PCU.
Which again sounds like a department in a hospital.
It does.
Or it's like MCU, and it's a play on things. So basically, it's a simple one. It basically connects all Pixar movies to one universe, albeit at various time periods. And I think the timeline is a really important thing here. And the person who came up with the theory, John Negroni, on his website, he has a really, really great actual visual representation of this. He has his own blog that is dedicated to this theory. I believe he's actually published a book as well, which I'm quite intrigued by. and he does update this. So he's got the kind of original post that was from, I think, 2013, and then he's kind of added to it whenever there's been new additions. Because I think maybe that's one of the difficulties with this particular theory, is that, you know, anytime that Pixar release a new film, you've got to think, well, does it have any connections? And I think throughout this episode, we're going to be talking about a lot of Easter eggs. We're going to be talking about a lot of theories and connections. But yeah, we'll try and relay everything together.
Yeah, so I've gone off the original timeline.
Sure.
Is what I've done. And we've put it in timeline order of when the films are meant to be set, rather than the order the films came out. Because I think that makes a lot more sense to do it in this order than doing it in film release order, because it just gets a little bit confusing. So we've done it where I've done one, you've done one, I've done one, you've done one.
I mean, I've kind of done everything, but I'm going to kind of jump in when I need to. No, because
I haven't gone into yours because I thought I'll let you do your bits and I'll do my bits.
It's only because you basically, Chloe sent me a list of all these films, and then I was like, oh, actually, I realised that some films were missing from that particular order. So I was like, I'll just do everything, but I'm not going to talk when Chloe talks about.
I'll just do it all.
Chloe, it's a research thing. Let me have my research.
Okay, well, can I start off though? Because I did start off this one.
Yeah, of course you can. I was just going to start with sort of one quote from John Negroni, because he states on his website, if you ever go into the full-on blog post, he says, the point of this theory is to have fun and to exercise your imagination while simultaneously finding interesting connections between these fantastic movies. The trick is not to take any of it too seriously.
Yeah, because you say fun, I think it's actually quite a sad theory, if I'm honest.
Yes.
The whole thing's quite sad.
I agree.
I wouldn't say it's necessarily fun. I didn't go, wow, that's so much fun. I went,
look at that connection.
I went,
I'm like, actually,
it's a bit dark.
Well, a lot of the kind of main themes that we're going to probably talk about throughout this, they're really depressing.
Apart from, you got magic.
True.
A big theme is magic.
A big theme is magic. A big theme
evolution.
Is sort of evolution. Technology, but then we're also talking about the decimation of the planet.
Yeah, dystopian stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you want to?
All right, let's go. Let's go. Start this cheery subject.
We've really sold this now.
The first film that kicks us off is Brave. From the main original Pixar theory.
Okay.
Yes, it was.
I will jump back.
Go on then. What is meant to go in front of it?
The Good Dinosaur. Because it happened 65 million years ago.
Yeah, but what in that is relevant to the Pixar theory?
Because I think one of the key things from The Good Dinosaur is the fact that the asteroid misses Earth. And therefore, when we're talking about the idea of evolution and the ideas of animals becoming increasingly intelligent, we already see some of that in The Good Dinosaur, where, the dinosaurs are intelligent and doing farming and things like that. And actually, it's humans that are the slightly more feral beings. So I think it is a little bit relevant, but I'm so sorry. I will...
It's a bit relevant, but that could have come in later.
Sorry.
You could have gone, for example, like in The Good Dinosaur, which is meant to be before Brave.
All right, sorry.
But it's okay. Let's rewind and go... Chloe starting off. Thank you. Starting off with the first film in the original 2013 Pixar theory, thank you, was Brave. With Merida. Her name is Merida. Lots of people call her Meredith. Merida.
Who calls her Meredith?
Murder.
Choose me. Love me.
Very funny.
Just makes me think of Meredith.
And the big thing in Brave to do with the Pixar theory is the role of magic. So you have the wisps.
Yes.
Wisps, which are little blue light things.
Not the sort of irritating hair that gets in your face.
No, not a wisp of hair.
Not a wisp of hair.
A magical wisp, which is what transforms Merida's mother into a bear. If you haven't seen the film, sorry for that spoiler, but it's the main thing of the film. There are going to be spoilers throughout this whole podcast. Yeah, so if you haven't seen all your Pixar films...
Maybe we should preface that.
Yeah.
All of this is a spoiler.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes, but I imagine most of you would have seen Pixar films before.
I'd like to think so.
So basically what Brave does is it gives a bit more of a narrative about how animals are gaining human-like qualities and how they're influencing their qualities and their emotions, which goes later into film. So it is really about how magic plays an important part throughout the theory.
Yes.
Because there isn't really any magic in The Good Dinosaur.
No, but I also think...
Apart from love. There is
you cutie patootie.
No, that film makes me cry.
That is a beautiful.
God,
I know that's a really sort of like underrated, or most people don't
everybody.
like it, but actually, I think it's simple storytelling done.
It's simple,
incredibly.
and if you actually get into it, so I think it's about 2/3 the way through. That's where it gets emotional.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I can't watch it anymore.
No, absolutely. But the introduction of magic is an important one, and I can kind of see that you're alluding to some stuff that we're probably going to scoot back to later.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But that sounds good.
To do with animals, because we all know there's other animals in the Pixar theory. It's not just bears.
Well, to do with animals, and then also I think one of the things that happens in... Do you mind if I jump in a little bit?
Go for it.
Another thing that you kind of notice in Brave is obviously the introduction of magic, but it's also the origins of inanimate objects basically coming to life. We also have some relevance with that introduction of magic. So even just simple things like, the broom acting on its own accord in the witch's hut, for example.
Yeah.
So you start to see
magic,
inanimate objects coming to life, and
now see my
bit
intro.
more self-awareness of appliances, especially in the witch's huts too.
But that's why I started off by going, "It's a kind of magic." You get it? So yeah, there's quite a big gap now between Brave and the next film if we're going on the 2013 theory.
Yes.
Sorry, do I have to say that after every single one, or can we just clarify we're going to go for the 2013?
No, we'll just go for the 2013, and I'll chime in when I have to.
Thank you. We've got a nice big gap, and then we go over to Toy Story, which is around 1997-ish, and I'm passing over to Stephen. Oh, sorry, I'm Toy Story.
Yeah, I was getting really confused.
No, I lied. We're going over to The Incredibles. Sorry, I've written here. Then it's Toy Story, but that's because I'm talking about it next. I didn't write in what you're doing.
I don't think I like this timeline.
I think I'm starting to like this timeline. Okay, right. We'll go over to you. I've even written it here.
Yeah.
Such as The Incredibles, set in the 1960s. Sorry. Off to you, Stephen.
Yeah, so it is contested that The Incredibles is set in the sort of 1950s, 60s. And actually, the first thing that The Incredibles does is it sets up this expectation of unlimited human potential. So there's a theory that goes along with The Incredibles, which I quite like, in the fact that the supers are ordinary humans who have actually been experimented on by the government. Think about it. When you think about the events of The Incredibles, you've got that guy who kind of comes in almost as like the lawyer from the government, who's kind of intervening any time that the supers kind of slip up or Mr. Incredible kind of makes a mistake and is still doing things undercover, So the idea that they're actually kind of, they were these kind of undercover spies is something that's kind of outlined quite a lot. We kind of see that a lot with the espionage skills that someone like Elastigirl has, her ability to fly a plane, her ability to use sort of like the police code when kind of talking is another sort of thing. But
I can use police code because I've worked with Disney.
No, I know.
Tenfold.
And that Tenfold. But I also think that's another thing. But one thing that's kind of quite pressing with The Incredibles is that most of the supers are eliminated by their memory, are kind of eliminated, as we see through, someone like Syndrome. But actually, their memory seems to be preserved through other means. So there's a couple of references to, and I do want to kind of chime in here and there with some Easter eggs.
I'm sure you will.
If that's cool. So one of the things is that if you watch Finding Nemo, for example, they are reading, or the boy in the waiting room is reading a comic book with Mr. Incredible on the front cover. And there's also a slight sort of theory there as well with The Incredibles, in that The Incredibles are definitely dead in the sort of timeline when we come to like something like Coco.
Wow.
Purely because when you go to the Day of the Dead, there's a poster of The Incredibles, so it's like they've passed on as well.
That's so sad.
Which I quite like. But also, I think the main thing in moving the timeline along, as you mentioned at the start, is the introduction of AI. So therefore,
this is a big thing in The Incredibles. Yeah,
so therefore we have... I can't even remember the name of the robot now. That's really bothering me.
Oh, I think I have it here. I had it. I've got it.
Go on,
maybe.
Girl.
No, I think I might have got rid of it.
Is it Omnidroid?
Yeah.
Oh, I love how that comes to me at that point. So we see the introduction of AI with Syndrome's robot, the Omnidroid. Okay, and this is the first time that we actually see what AI is capable of doing. And it kind of paves the way for artificial intelligence somewhere down the timeline, which we're not going to talk about sort of just yet. Another little sort of Easter egg, which I quite liked, and I really never spotted this. with The Incredibles is, the like first villain that sort of makes an appearance. Who is the first villain that makes an appearance in Incredibles?
Oh,
Goes along
the
with
mole. The mole.
No. Who's the first one that we see in the film?
The first villain.
He blows his way through the bank with all the money. It's literally one of my favourite villains.
It's the mime.
Yeah. Bon voyage.
Bon voyage, yes.
Monsieur Incroyable. He actually makes an appearance as a mime in Ratatouille, which is a really kind of cool thing. So it's like the idea that, maybe he's a mime by day, a villain by night.
Wow.
Which I kind of liked.
But where does Ratatouille come into the timeline?
Well, it doesn't really. There's just a couple of Easter eggs. I just thought I'd drop them in there.
Because I'd love to know if, was Ratatouille then set around... No, Ratatouille's in later on.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
I was just dropping a little thing.
Yeah, that can't be the same guy. Because there's no way he's alive later on. No way.
He could have been a young mime and now he's an old mime. A retiree.
Maybe. Who knows?
Right, what comes next, Kai?
Toy Story.
Cool.
1997. So this basically posits the idea that toys come to life due to the emotional bonds that they form with children, absorbing residual and magical energy from their interactions. And basically this connection emphasizes how childhood imagination and attachment grant life to inanimate objects. Inanimate objects.
That is a word you can't say, isn't it?
Inanimate objects.
Hey, you nailed it.
Thank you. So yeah, it's quite deep and meaningful, really.
Yeah, actually.
But it's particularly about Woody and Buzz, how they show their emotions throughout the story. And there's a lot about being replaced and abandoned. There's an awful lot about that.
Cool. We all feel that sometimes, don't we, people?
Yeah, so that is... that basically is hinting at their potential evolution into more complex beings as the films go on. So like you see them get a little bit more, we are more than just a toy as the films go on.
Yeah, as opposed to Woody's famous phrase, "You are a toy."
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for doing the face as well. Well, I hope you enjoyed that at home. So yeah, Toy Story is quite a big one when it comes to the emotions in inanimate objects and other beings. And they come up with their own sort of code and rules. So it's sort of learning like how to run a society as such.
Yes.
And how they can thrive upon that, which is very that's so deep, isn't it?
Yeah, but when I think but when I think about it, like look back at the films, we kind of have three different types of societies being introduced. Mm-hmm. So for example, in the first Toy Story, it's what are the rules of Andy's bedroom? Oh, Buzz Lightyear comes in and disrupts that status quo. Likewise, we have this sort of introduction of this kind of, I don't know, fake reality in when they arrive at Owl's. And suddenly, you've got these toys that are frozen in time. And some of them are yearning for escape. Some of them are longing to stay in that sort of nostalgia, for example. And then in Toy Story 3, we've got the sort of preschool, the kindergarten, where sort of there's the rules of that. So I think it's so interesting with the sort of the idea of inanimate objects forming their own societies and rules and politics and everything like that.
And what I like as a sort of link back to The Incredibles is that it's the first sign of life from toys is actually in Syndrome's like technology. Because when he's a kid, those are his toys.
Are you calling the Omnidroid a toy?
That is though, isn't it? Really?
No, it's very, very true.
So that's where it's coming from.
Good idea,
yeah. So that was crazy. All of that, and it aligns with the whole concept of magic, because them being alive is a bit kind of magic. So yeah, that gave me so many vibes of it's just like a movie. It's a movie.
It's
a movie. Some Easter eggs for you. A Toy Story appears in Monsters Inc. You can see Jessie and also Randall's against the blue sky wallpaper at one point.
Very true.
And in the bloopers, you've got Rex.
Yes.
So there's lots of Toy Story Easter eggs.
Yeah, there's also Toy Story Easter eggs in other films as well, but I'll kind of do those when I get to those particular films. So what have you got next in your timeline? I have
Finding Nemo.
You got Finding Nemo.
There was the way it's written here is funny because it's like a joke, but it's not a joke as well because it actually is legit. So I've got in the ocean we find that fish are incredibly advanced, and then in brackets it says they have schools, and I'm like that is an English joke. But they do.
That is very good.
They actually do have schools.
That is very good. They are well educated.
Yes, they have a network and a freeway system.
True.
Yeah. And we discover that humans are polluting the earth and experimenting on fishes. And this is in this theory, it has that Dory is an experiment fish.
Yes. No, I've read that as well, and I think we get a lot more
which is
of
why
that
she's forgetful.
in the sort of Finding Dory.
Yeah, but it doesn't. I don't really show it that she's an experiment as such in that one. But yeah, that's what they went with. This obviously was before.
But it's more science. As I suppose to clarify with that particular theory, it's more to do with the fact that Dory has a higher intelligence. Yes, she is forgetful, but ultimately
she's clever.
She can read. She can. Yeah. You know, she speaks several languages. She speaks whale. That was very good.
Thank you. And there are signs of resentment growing towards humans, and for polluting, for stealing fish, and for caging them up. And animals are becoming more curious to carry more humanistic characterizations.
Yes.
Characteristics.
Sure.
Not characterizations.
Characterization. It makes you sound like you're about to do like a drama workshop.
No.
Let me just get into character of this
of this fish. Of this clownfish.
Yes.
Not my dad. So that is Finding Nemo, and I think does play
clownfish
quite.
Is not that funny.
It does play quite an important part.
Yeah, and again,
it's growing for the hatred towards humans.
Yeah, the hatred towards humans, the idea of animals having intelligent life as well as inanimate objects, but also their ability to, have these human-like qualities, i.e. emotions predominantly, and then also kind of integrating that into their ability to form their own societies, which kind of leads us to Up. Mm-hmm. Now, I kind of want to use Up as a bit of a platform to introduce another bigger concept, the idea of like humans essentially ruining things for themselves, if that's cool. Mm-hmm. So Up kind of fast forwards us a little bit to 2007, and it's the idea that advancements are being made first and foremost in terms of animals. We see when Carl makes it to the jungle, that essentially he stumbles
Welcome to the jungle. Sorry.
He essentially stumbles upon a group of dogs that are able to communicate because technology has also advanced. I think that's sort of one thing when we're talking about AI. We're also talking about the idea of technology, taking on new forms. We actually see that again. The animals in Up are quite advanced. They cook and they do chores and they're able to carry out military-style operations in terms of hunting and tracking down. I know that's what dogs can be kind of used for in the same way as well. And they can also fly planes. I forgot about that moment when I was watching like a theory video of them kind of shooting down.
Smart dogs.
Yeah. But again, I think the main thing to sort of go for here is actually there's this idea of a bigger corporation coming together. Mm-hmm. And it's never kind of said in Up that it is by and large sort of acquiring the land and sort of doing all the development, which eventually sees us towards Wall-E. But it's also not the first time that we've had any references to by and large, because Buzz's batteries in Toy Story 3 are revealed as by and large. So I think there's a couple of little references there at that point. And again, I think there's also by and large also makes reference points to cars at other points as well.
Yes, I got stuff about cars in my notes, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Cars is my one. But we're not going on to cars next, we're going on to Toy Story 3.
However, I was just going to... And that actually, I can segue perfectly.
So where's Toy Story 2? Did you have Toy Story 2 on your list?
No, because it's kind of like Toy Story Universe exists kind of within one world.
But Up is...
You've gone from the proper list. What I did is I watched a sort of... Well, I culminated it on Negroni's website. Yeah. And then also had a look at his updated timeline. But then I've also gone for... He basically did a really, really detailed video for cracked.com. Yeah. And that basically kind of updated it with a lot of things. So some of these things do cross over quite a lot, as we kind of see. But again, to lead us from sort of perfectly from... Up to Toy Story 3, when Carl is sort of floating through the city, we actually look in and we see, God, what's the bear called? Lotso. Yeah, we see Lotso up in the sort of girls' place.
Well, in the girls' place.
In the girls' place.
So yeah, Toy Story 3 is 2010 is when this film's set. And the film again emphasizes the emotional connections between toys and their owners, and the toys' fear of being abandoned and not being played with, because it's like they're not having love and affection from somebody. What's going to happen? Because that's how they're alive, So that is scary to think about.
But that is also the film that kicks me in the heart the most.
Yes, but this is Lotso's betrayal, is what I've got written as a headline here.
Go on then.
Which is, he represents a darker side of toys existence, and showing that although you've got evil humans in the other Pixar films, there are also
evil
toys as well, and how again their resentment towards humans has grown and how they're becoming more loyal to others, and so there's not loads to add on with Toy Story 3. It's just more like that growing of we hate the humans.
No, but I think there's something interesting. I'm going to go a little bit philosophical here, that eventually, you know, they grow to become the thing that they hate the most.
Interesting, isn't it?
You know, as much as they despise the humans for what they're capable of doing, they do not necessarily learn from the same lessons that humans do or do not.
What have you got next?
I mean, I've got WALL-E next.
Oh, I've got Cars.
Actually, WALL-E kind of fit. Well, WALL-E is one of those ones that is a bit of a difficult one, because WALL-E, technically the first clips that we get from WALL-E shoots back to just before Cars, but then
it's
Cars,
mainly Cars.
Yeah. So sorry, I will give you the sort of times here. So technically, the point where they have to leave Earth in WALL-E is supposed to be 2105.
Yes.
However, Cars sort of exists between 2100
and 2200. Yeah.
So do you mind if I sort of jump in a little bit with the sort of context of WALL-E, and then you jump in with Cars, and then I'll jump back in? Is that cool?
Yeah.
So technically what happens, we establish that humans are the plague of the world, and eventually we ruin that, especially with a big company like By and Large. We see in WALL-E that they have essentially taken over. Pollution becomes sort of overwhelming, and essentially they come up with this idea of, due to the masses of the population, they create these executive starliners, which essentially means that people can leave, and they're supposed to be, I believe, I watched this recently, it's supposed to be 5 years that they go on a kind of cruise. Ends up being 700 years, as we kind of find out in the events of WALL-E. But essentially the Earth has become so polluted that they have to leave. And I think this kind of introduced quite an interesting concept here, that the starliners are actually powered by human emotion, which is why, I think WALL-E's quite clever in the sense of, these humans become so lazy that they're, all of their energy is sapped into just existing within a screen and within a chair. So I think that's quite interesting. But again, like I said, the original plan was that they were only going to be gone for 5 years. They end up being gone for a lot longer, which is why it's quite interesting with what happens with Cars, because that kind of happens as the Star Cruisers are sort of
so basically
disappearing.
What happens is that animals rose up against the humans to stop the pollution, and machines saved the humans, and they won the war. So the machines are what helped save the humans, because the machines got the humans off the Earth.
Yes.
Love that. I thought that was a great full circle moment, But however, since machines helped
the machines,
since they helped humans win, it sort of tipped the balance on Earth. That's why they had to send all of them off to another country, where all the other machines were left behind. Another country, another universe, another world.
Chloe.
So Cars, Machines, were all left behind to populate the world and run the world.
Yeah.
Who run the world? Cars. But how do we know Cars took over the Earth and not another planet?
True.
How do we know that?
Because they're on Earth.
I don't know. No, I'm just asking. How do we know that?
Well, actually, there is a theory surrounding that, because a lot of
That's what I mean. I'm not asking you. I'm going, huh.
Well, what I found out from my research is that a lot of the cars actually end up embodying their sort of human counterparts as owners. Think about it. When we watch Cars, you see, a talk show host replicating Jay Leno. We see someone outside a political building, Arnold Schwarzenegger. So the idea is that, the cars basically take on the personalities of their previous owners, which I think is quite a cool concept.
That's so crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's cool though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I like that. I like that theory.
So yeah, it also addresses themes of environmental neglect, which is what you see Radiator Springs. Yeah. It's just been neglected.
No, exactly.
And this reflects the consequences of human actions on nature.
Yes.
Which is sad.
Which is sad, especially given everything that's sort of, happening around the world at the moment. It's not like Pixar are very clever to talk about things that are incredibly relevant to.
Then do you have notes about the rest of WALL-E?
Yes.
Because I do as well.
Yeah, go on.
You go ahead. No, please.
No. I insist.
Basically, WALL-E is a cautionary tale about environmental neglect.
Yeah.
And consumerism.
It's a cautionary tale.
Of garbage, trash,
and neglect based on Some
Pixar events where people die.
No one died, but they went on a star cruise.
If you haven't seen Mean Girls the musical,
that made absolutely no sense whatsoever. But if you did, then thank you for the reference, people. Now there is an introduction of AI, especially being used on the Axiom, and the Axiom is where we sort of see the events take place in WALL-E. So, for example, what you find is that once the Eve probe has essentially gone down to Earth and established that life is capable through the process of photosynthesis, obviously they've got the plant in the boot. The AI actually does everything to try and stop it as much as possible. It kind of gives you that. Have you ever seen 2001: A Space Odyssey?
No.
It gives you vibes of I think it's Hal in that. He's got a great line where he's like, "What are you doing, Dave?" It's really freaky. But like the idea that the AI won't let humans essentially return to Earth, but essentially as the events of WALL-E unfold, they manage to head back to Earth and re-establish and recolonize. But there's a lovely little reference point actually at the end of WALL-E, and I only found this from watching the credits in my research, that they kind of have all these like, I don't know, they're almost like prehistoric drawings in the credit sequence, and Eve and WALL-E are kind of standing very, very close to a tree that resembles the one in Bug's Life, which is kind of a nice little segue into sort of latter stages here.
Yes, I mean, I don't have Bug's Life, Lex. I think you have Bug's Life, but I do have a connection between WALL-E and Monsters, Inc.
What's the connection?
The connection is the fact that when the humans eventually return to Earth, basically, they do come back, and that's where the monsters come from, because they're not like humans when they come back. They've evolved.
They're not like us.
And in the literally like 2,000 years' time, they have evolved into these monsters we see in Monsters, Inc., which then take me to a further point, which I'm not going to say yet, but it explains a bit more about things that happen in Monsters, Inc.
No,
but I'm not going to go into that yet.
Exactly.
Because that's a big wow
exactly.
moment.
But we do actually see the sort of survival of insects, and insects actually
of
being
life
able
on
to
Earth.
Well, of them being able to kind of survive anyway, because you have the little cockroach friend of WALL-E throughout. But again, the idea with that one is, again, bugs, animals have essentially become these advanced societies. There's a kind of natural hierarchy between the grasshoppers and the ants. The ants have formed this kind of incredible colony. When Flick eventually goes into the city, they have an entire city set up. They have circuses, they have entertainment, they have bars, they have everything that humans would have had in the first place. That's pretty much that there is, to be honest. But we also see the advancement of technology. Remember, Flick is an inventor in the first place anyway.
He is. This is very true. And then we're going to Monsters University and Monsters, Inc.
Yes.
They're basically the same thing, but one's a bit before the other one.
Yes.
The main thing about Monsters University that I thought stands out is the fact that as an Earth, that the monsters are still thriving off human emotions.
Yes.
Screams and laughs.
Ah!
Funny that, isn't it? Big full circle moment there. And that's their main power source, is, again, human emotions. So that is the main thing I think there is to say about Monsters, Inc. But obviously there is a deeper full circle moment.
No, absolutely. But again, if we're looking at it from a timeline perspective, Monsters, Inc. is supposed to take place between about 3,100 to 5,201.
Yeah, I've got a bit more narrowed down of 4,500 to 5,000.
Sure. We're both in the same range.
We're
here,
the same
Chloe,
range,
so
but I'm a bit more narrowed down. So yeah, now can I do the big reveal?
Yes. Can I just chime in just a little bit, just because we talk about human emotion, and actually this is a perfect opportunity for me to talk a little bit about Inside Out.
So that sounds like you're about to do an ad then for something. This is the perfect opportunity to talk about
for me to talk about how humans are destroying the environment. Okay, this episode is brought to you by what are we brought to by?
Greenpeace? I don't know.
Greenpeace, sure. But yeah, so actually when we talk about human emotion, we've already mentioned the kind of connection between toys and the sort of the deeper meaning between their connection with humans. Inside Out was a perfect kind of epitome of how human emotion can be incredibly powerful, and actually your emotions can have emotions and be more dominant. So I think that leads in quite nicely with especially when it comes into the idea of what happens in Monsters, Inc. If we think over the course of Monsters, Inc., the first thing is screams, and then they realise towards the end that laughter is more powerful. What is the overriding emotion or the controlling emotion in Inside Out? Joy. Joy is trying to overpower because she wants all this kind of, she maybe she knows that she's a more powerful emotion in that sense, but actually it's kind of striking a balance.
Wow.
What I do love as a theory, though, and this kind of broke my heart a little bit here, right?
Get the tissues out, people.
What happens that is utterly heartbreaking in Inside Out?
Bing bong.
Bing bong, right? Now, there is a theory with Bing bong.
Yeah.
That Bing bong was actually a monster that scared Riley when she was a child, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because, you see where I'm going with this? So the idea that, she saw a monster like Bing bong, it stayed within her kind of psyche as a child, and then she's kind of kept that and preserved that in her subconscious, which we kind of see. But I thought that was a really, really interesting concept. And Bing bong's there.
I get it, but why would Bing bong then say like all the nice things about her?
Well, think about it. Maybe Bing bong came after Mike and Sully's taking over of Monsters Incorporated, where it's laughter.
So he's not a scary monster.
Not a scary monster at all. It's one that is designed to make them laugh, which I absolutely love. But also, I just feel sad because that bit with Bing bong
is very sad.
Absolutely destroys me.
Let me
please take me away from this.
Make you happy now. So the big theory that I like, this is my favourite one. Yes. You're probably thinking, yeah, Chloe, but if monsters are living on a planet now where there's no humans, how do they go and scare the humans? Well, my answer to that, my friends, is time travel. Because the doors are portals.
What the hell's a gigawatt?
The doors are portals.
Yes.
And so when they open them up...
Could that be seen as magic?
It is magic. There you go. It's technology and magic all in one. So this is the big thing that I like. So we all know Boo from Monsters, Inc., yeah? We all know Boo, little Boo.
Yes.
She loves Mike. She loves Sully.
More so
Sully. No, but at the end, she really does love Mike, you know? Both of them. Anyway, she grew up trying so hard to get back to the monster world. Like, you saw her at the end of the film, open the door, wanting to go back, and she couldn't. Yeah. She spends her life trying to figure out how these doors work. Dedicates her life to do these things. And where else do we see a magic door? In the Pixar universe. Right back at the beginning at Brave.
Full circle moment.
The witch in Brave is Boo from Monsters, Inc.
Dun, dun, dun.
That is the one that I go,
I mean, there's lots of things to kind of clarify that as well, isn't there? Apart from the idea...
she's holding like bears. Sully is a bit like a bear. There is a wooden carving of a bear.
Well, it's not necessarily... the one theory that I was reading was not that it's necessarily that Sully looks like a bear. What was the last moment of connection that she actually had with him? She handed him her toy bear, her teddy bear. There's a reference there. Okay, one of the wood carvings that is in her forest is Sully. Okay? Yeah. Why do we know that the witch could also be a time traveler? Because there are so many references to other Pixar films,
and she appears out of nowhere.
There's the Pizza Planet. The Pizza Planet thing. What's another thing? Well, when she appears in the sort of cauldron, saying that she's gone out, she says that she's gone to the this was a mind moment. She says that she's gone to the Wickerman Festival. Okay, the Wickerman Festival happened in 2001. What also got released in 2001? Monsters, Inc.
Oh,
what
my
a great
God.
moment.
Oh, my mind is blown.
That was the moment where my brain went, shut up. That is the most beautiful full circle moment I've ever seen.
Wow.
But I just love the idea of Boo being so fueled by her obsession with Sully that she dedicates her life to time traveling and trying to find him again.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow.
That's exhausting.
That's crazy. Can you hear the fireworks outside?
I can.
That's like a big celebration. Like, well done, the Pixar theory. Boo is the witch.
We managed to get through it. Now, obviously, you can take a lot of this with a pinch of salt. I think as you'll be able to see with a lot of this episode, there are some connections that make complete and total sense. Other things that maybe don't make as much sense, and they're kind of loose threads. However, there are obviously loads and loads of Easter eggs to other sort of films, like the Luxo Ball, for example, appears in so many different kind of moments. Again, we've spoken about Pizza Planet truck appearing in everything. The idea that Sid exists across a couple of platforms as well. Like in Toy Story 4, behind the two in one of the carnival games, there's the guitar from Coco.
Yeah.
There's so many of those little things that kind of appear. Like, there's an outline of Doug in Ratatouille.
Yeah.
Again,
love it.
So many,
love an Easter egg.
So many crossovers.
Love it.
And I think that's always the thing that lures me to Pixar films. Not only are they incredible storytelling, and actually I think I like the idea that they take these kind of other worlds and make them relatable to our own, because they kind of, they give us messages of kind of hope, or they give us messages of, lessons that we can essentially learn from them. But again, one of my favourite things with any Pixar film is being able to look in and go, oh, there's a thing over there.
I like it as well.
So yeah.
Wow.
And breathe.
Yeah.
And
well, I hope you all enjoyed that. I did.
Yeah.
Mine's blown.
There were a couple of other, there's a very, very loose theory that Carl and Ellie have some relation to Riley in Up.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
I did know that.
Yeah, because you can actually see a reference to their wedding at some point in the film.
Crazy.
There's a picture of them. Yeah. Whoa.
That's everything, I think.
There's also one other relation. This is why I thought Inside Out was quite clever, because what's her name? Colette from Ratatouille. She makes an appearance on the front of a magazine cover in Inside Out.
Cool.
And it's supposed to kind of take place a few years after, because she's on the front cover of a magazine. She's clearly successful after, the events of Ratatouille.
Ratatouille.
So I'm exhausted.
Yeah, me too.
That was a lot of stuff, a lot of information, things to get through.
Nice.
But you're going to Paris next week, so that's fun.
I am actually eating at Chef Remy, which is the Ratatouille restaurant. You looked at me like, okay. I'm like, that's Ratatouille restaurant.
Look. You're like,
also eating at the Pirates of the Caribbean restaurant that's next to the ride.
Yeah, but that's been on my list for ages.
I know. I will think of you whilst I'm eating my fish dish.
Thank you. And I will think of you while I'm sat here with a ready meal.
Well, do you actually want to think about next week's question, which leads into next week's episode?
Sure.
Next week's episode question? What do you want to know first? What do you want me to tell you first? Do you want me to ask you the question first, or do you want me to tell you what the next week's episode is first?
Do the question first.
The question. So next week's question, which leads into next week's episode, is what is the most expensive room at Disney World to stay in?
Okay.
Avoiding club levels. Standard sort of room, kind of. Yeah.
Obviously.
Most expensive place to stay.
Okay. And why are you asking that, Chloe?
Because we're deep diving into deluxe resorts.
Oh, we're going to the fancy ones.
We've done moderate. We've done the value.
Yes,
we're now into deluxe.
Love that.
So yeah,
stuff.
That's it.
Cool.
I'm gonna go enjoy Paris though.
Yeah. Thanks, Chloe.
It's alright.
I will enjoy my work. I'll enjoy editing.
When I say I'm going to enjoy Paris,
podcasts.
the next episode will be recorded probably before I go to Paris.
Well, yeah, it has to be, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to edit it before
you'll hear from me before I go to Paris. But I still will think of this moment.
Well, when we do that deluxe episode, we can always do a little check-in on some things that you're looking forward
to.
All that kind of thing.
Done all my timings today.
Sounds good.
It's crazy.
Of course you've done your timings.
Yeah, I have. Got to figure out what time to get to the boat, what time I've got to leave, all that kind of stuff. Do you know how much the toll road is on the way down to Disneyland Paris from the boat?
No.
€25.
Wow. I mean, it kind of doesn't surprise me, because I had a friend from uni who drove from where we were in Chichester down to the south of France, and just to get to the south of France he paid €200 in tolls. Wow. Yeah, mental.
No, it's 25 each way for me, so not too bad, but still I was like,
and we moan about dart charge,
and American tolls are like $1 something most of the time. So crazy. Anyway, thank you for joining us. We will see you all next week
for less theories and more resorts.
See you then.
See you later. Bye.
We can cry when it's over.